last time I took it, I saw fairies for 3 days.
Oh my god, they really are talking about getting high. It's rolling a fae.
I played video games in a drunken haze. I was 17 years young.
Now, am I a big fan of this series? Hell, ask yourself that. VHS, DVD, the book. I'm not obsessed with it or anything, but these are things I've collected over the years. This is absolutely one of my favorite miniseries ever made for television, and you're about to find out why. Even since childhood, I've thought this introduction was pretty awesome. It's an excellent blend of CGI with reality, fantasy, and imagination all tucked into every corner. Even the song is kind of catchy, but I know it's bound to catch acclaim, so you'll just have to listen to that on your own time. We open in the woods where a woman named Virginia is narrating to us her life's account thus far while on her way to work in New York City. She lives with her father, she's single, and like most Americans, she's at a dead-end job with no real direction in life. Played by John Larroquette, her father, Tony, is a groundsman where they lived and is often seen making repairs to the various things that inevitably break. One menacing cut later, we've arrived at Snow White Memorial Prison located in the Fourth Kingdom. Curious as to what that means, are you? Don't worry, you're going to find out. An unknown entity is seen sneaking around under some sort of cloaking device, and he takes out one of the guards with some magic powder, giving him an opportunity to steal his keys. Still in the Fourth Kingdom, outside the prison walls, we find Prince Wendell traveling by coach for some royal crap he couldn't possibly be less interested in. Needing to make a pit stop by the prison first, we are let in on the fact that Wendell's stepmother is currently inside, and they are there to make sure her parole is denied. Now what she's guilty of, we don't know at the moment, but already this series is setting up plot lines for us. Back inside the prison, the door to a room where 3 incompetent trolls are being held is opened by the unknown assailant from earlier, and we find out it's their father, played by Ed O'Neill. We discover the secret to his invisibility, and we cut back to Tony and Virginia in the elevator where he's complaining, get used to that, about something or another. The owner of the building comes in whining, and his dorky son just irritates me so much, the little bastard. Good job, kid who played him, because even though your only job was that little shit-eating grin, you did it well. Virginia heads to work on her bicycle, and we're back in the prison with our trolls who are now free, but before escaping the castle, an unknown woman calls out to them.
Come to me.
Well, that can't be good. Prince Wendell shows up, and I just love this dude's goofy take on the character. The trolls follow the voice where they find the queen, who offers a deal for her release. Now here the movie builds tension nicely as Wendell arrives inside to find his servant dead, and he's quickly apprehended by the trolls. They beat him up like Three Stooges style. And then they begin arguing like trolls are known to do. And now the queen, free thanks to Ed, quickly puts Wendell in his place. Now let's make a point here. This is about to get really silly. There's a lot of moments in this series. It's going to be silly, it's going to be funny, it's going to be sad. This is going to be an emotional roller coaster if you let it. But I don't want the silliness of the next scene to kind of ruin it. I don't want you to see this and think, Jesus Christ, is this what we're in for? A whole bunch of goofy shit like this? No, the whole thing's not like this. It's just a silly little idea, but it has its place. Using a magical dog. Now, I always wondered why she didn't just have powers, but perhaps that's the point. If she had powers, she'd be too powerful for the story. She forces a body swap between Wendell and him. Silly as it is, it's just awesome because of the many scenes to follow and the journey through the series of Wendell trying to get his rightful body back. He quickly escapes the castle and runs for his life. Good boy. The trolls follow.
Where's my tail gone?
And we're back with Virginia, continuing to give us details of her life. It's all fairly interesting. She's a great actress. She's cute. No complaints here. We're left with her lamenting her boring life, an obvious allusion to things that will come, as we cut back to the queen, who amongst a chamber of filthy criminals releases one, a wolf, with the goal of using him to her advantage. I fell in love with this dude so many times throughout this series. He was just a great choice for this role. He agrees to her terms of loyalty, and the task of tracking down Wendell the dog who is making his escape falls in his hands. Now, a short chase later, a mirror is jarred loose in the commotion, and its fall causes it to activate, showing at first the city of New York, home of Virginia and Tony, but as the trolls and wolf get closer, Virginia herself appears. He leaps through to safety, crossing over from the Fourth Kingdom to New York, which is known as, have you figured it out yet? Right into her wheels he goes, injuring both himself and her as Wolf pops out moments later right behind them. The trolls follow right after them, and I'm gonna tell you right now, they make some really great comic relief.
I hereby claim this land and all its inhabitants in the name of the Troll Nation. What should we call it? The 10th Kingdom. The 10th Kingdom.
We cut back to the Queen and Ed, who are bargaining. She offers him half of Wendell's kingdom in exchange for helping her escape. Pretty good deal, honestly. She wants to use his bumbling children for who knows what nefarious purposes, while Virginia wakes up and checks on the poor dog she's hit. Realizing she's lost her wallet, Virginia turns back to look for it. The trolls, meanwhile, have knocked out some random couple and are ransacking their belongings when they activate a boombox, which leads to a pretty hilarious scene that I gotta be careful with because of claims.
Oh, more magic!
Giving up on the wallet due to getting spooked, the trolls find it instead and fight over the leather until they find an address inside. I'm surprised they can read, honestly. Like Toucan Sam, Wolf uses his nose and follows Virginia to the restaurant where she works. She hides Wendell in a nearby pantry, unsure of what to do with him, while Wolf, unable to fight temptation any longer, sits down to be served. The trolls are still wandering around the city, both in strength and awe, while Virginia is now finding herself distracted by the disturbance Wolf is causing in the restaurant.
Let it look at the oven in terror, then bring it out to me.
I'll carve off what I want and ride the rest home. Dum da da dum da da.
When Wendell starts barking, she heads back to see what all the commotion is.
I suppose you wrote that, eh? Bark once. Okay. Bark twice.
Accepting the situation for what it is, the two escape unharmed to her apartment building, where arriving upstairs, they find all the inhabitants passed out on the floor with the same strange pink powder on them that incapacitated the guard earlier. Heading through the broken door of her apartment, she finds her father in the same condition as the others, and hears voices coming from the other room. Inside, the trolls are obsessing over shoes. Now, I want to hate the cliche here of trolls and leather shoes, but how could you hate this one scene? Threatening to turn her into a pair of shoes as she doesn't reveal the location of Prince Wendell, she tricks them by trapping them in the elevator, and they escape once again for the time being. Finally coming to, Tony awakes to Wolf in his room, offering him the deal of a lifetime, a magic bean for information on where his daughter is. Tony is kind of an asshole, and no one could have played this character better than Larroquette. Mixed with scenes of the trolls assuming they're trapped under a spell by Virginia, a witch.
I feel this is quite the worst spell we have ever been put under!
You see why I love these dudes? Or inside of a matchbox in her pocket.
That's ridiculous. Where are all the matches?
Tony ends up greedily accepting the deal from Wolf and swallows the magic bean whole, thereby granting him 6 wishes and possibly endangering his daughter. I told you he was an asshole. Wolf leaves with what he came for and the real magic begins. Virginia arrives at her grandma's, and some of the old woman's character shows through with scenes that let us in on the fact that Virginia's mother ran out on them a long time ago.
You know, she'll come back one day. She'll just swan in without a word.
Now back at Tony's, the owner of the building, Mr. Murray, is now at his door chewing his ass out, and in a moment of pure emotional anger, frustration, and wit's end, Tony makes his first wish.
I wish you and your entire family would kiss my ass
Oh boy, this is gonna be weird, isn't it?
and be my slaves forever.
I promise this isn't weird. Okay, this is a little weird. Our trolls are still comically arguing amongst themselves in the elevator, and the cuts I have to make for claims purposes don't really do them justice, so definitely look this movie up if you even find this remotely interesting. You won't be disappointed.
We'll just have to make the most of our imprisonment and agree not to eat each other.
Absolutely, absolutely!
Wolf arrives at the address given to him by Tony and flirts his way inside, pretending to be Virginia's suitor. And the wishing madness continues with Tony, who now has an endless fridge of beer, Murray and his mother working for him, and even a vacuum that cleans his entire apartment.
Oh, here's some over here.
3 wishes already blown. Wolf has Grandma tied up ready for the cooking when Virginia wakes, and calling for her, he runs to hide under the cover and bait her into this room where he launches a surprise attack. She doesn't quite know how to react, as he, a madman as far as she knows, who just had her under threat of a cleaver, is now professing his love for her.
I am in love!
So like something out of a Donald Duck cartoon, she bashes him over the head with a flower vase as he leans in for a kiss. Now he pursues her relentlessly and gets launched out the window in a comical manner. Damn, Virginia! She rescues her grandmother, and back at Tony's, the situation is getting a little out of control. People are everywhere attempting to kiss his ass,
Kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Kiss your ass.
repair the apartment, please him in pretty much every way possible. And if that isn't good enough, he wishes for $1 million, which arrives at the door in seconds. And finally, a good wish, right?
Done.
Wolf comes to in the pile of trash he landed in earlier and consults the help of a passing woman who apparently is a psychiatrist. How convenient. Now, as the madness continues at Tony's apartment, the police come busting in, somehow aware of the $1 million being in his possession. When did this turn into the monkey's paw?
Oh no, Maggie made a wish.
Wolf is revealing more about himself.
See?
Not sure whether I want to love her or eat her.
Maybe a little too much.
Oh.
And Virginia takes Wendell back to where she found him. What is she supposed to do? Because I don't really know in this situation either. Wolf leaves with prescription in hand. Tony is in cuffs downtown, still denying any involvement in the robbery, and the trolls are still trying to figure out how to escape the magic box when it activates finally and they escape into the basement. Now we find Wolf at a book fair grabbing books on self-help and relationship advice while Tony is attempting to bribe the officers to get out of his cuffs.
Won't make it any better trying to bribe us.
Failing at that, he blows another wish on escaping from the cop car.
Freeze!
Did I hear you say freeze?
Runs by Wolf, who spots him and follows, and soon, with cops all over his ass, he runs into Virginia and Wendell and blows his 5th wish on wishing he could understand what the dog was saying. There's a lot of shit to happen in a few moments, I know.
You're in terrible danger.
Learning they are in danger, Wendell explains to Tony about the mirror, and they search the area for it while the cops and Wolf are pretty much surrounding them. They finally spot the shimmer of the portal, and now even the damn trolls are on their heels. One by one, they all hop through, Wendell, Tony, Virginia, and out into the prison they appear. Wendell begins to lead them to safety, and not even a moment later, they have to hide as the trolls come flying in behind them.
We'll have footwear parties where you have to change shoes 6 times an hour.
In front of a large map, Wendell explains where we are and how the kingdoms work.
So, what is this? Is like Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, fairy tale stuff?
The Golden Age was almost 200 years ago, when the ladies you refer to had their great moments in history.
Honestly, this is a quite interesting idea, and one of the reasons I really love this. It's a great twist on the classic fairy tales.
Happy Ever After didn't last as long as we'd hoped.
We learn that the woman who turned Wendell into a dog is a real threat to everything, and they continue their search for clues to her whereabouts. Wolf finally comes through, closing the portal behind him. More backstory, basically, and good stuff, honestly. Hey, Tony, tell everybody what the dog told you.
Basically, poisoned his mom and dad and tried to kill him too.
There you go. Now, a sleep bomb explodes on Virginia, who ends up locked in one of the cells, leaving Tony and Wendell outside. The Queen and...
I am Relish the Troll King.
Relish? His name's Relish. I'm gonna keep calling him Ed. They argue over what to do with Wendell, who is rolling around like a moron, and Ed's still upset that he hasn't gotten his half of the kingdom yet. She takes off in the carriage with Wendell in tow, and Ed puts on the magic shoes, turning near invisible again.
I don't really care. I got special shoes.
It's not as cool as Predator, but it's pretty cool. The trolls have Virginia passed out over their shoulder as prisoner and escape with her as all the people under the sleep spell are now waking up, and finding Tony inside, they assume he's the culprit and take him to the warden for questioning. Here Tony tries to make another wish, but being that he's already used up his 6, it fails and he spits out the bean onto the table. That scene's kind of funny. Trying to cover his ass, he spills the beans on everything, which goes nowhere, and he lands himself a bunk in a cell with some interesting characters. Wendell's life is in even more danger than usual, and we find the trolls outside stealing a boat with Wolf right on their tail. Now here we meet Acorn for the first time, who I just love to death because...
What are you in for?
If you couldn't tell from the voice already, he's played by Warwick Davis.
I'm Acorn.
Excellent. We also meet P-Face, I'm gonna call him. I'm sure you see why.
Will you be my friend?
What exactly does that entail?
That's a good question. With the trolls still boating with Virginia in tow, and Wolf presumably on their trail, we find the citizens of the small town mentioned earlier are still awaiting the arrival of Prince Wendell. News arrives of the escape of the Queen, however, and a panic sets in. The sight of Wendell's carriage momentarily calms things down.
Prince Wendell is coming. Thank goodness. He'll know what to do.
Until he rolls up with his head out the window like a dog. Tony is scrubbing the floors of the prison, and Wendell nearby manages to talk with him through the walls and they form a plan. He steals the key and tells Tony to make an impression of it in his soap bar, which he does. Now on horseback, the trolls are still carrying Virginia somewhere about 1,000,000 miles away it seems, but hey, the scenery's pretty cool. She starts to come to when we arrive at a huge stone castle. Back at the prison, Tony discovers how wonderful the food is and propositions his 2 new friends on who he can see to get something made.
If you want anything bought, sold, borrowed or made in here, you have to see the Tooth Fairy.
And how would
when I get to see him.
I knew that was gonna happen. I still loved it.
Would you like some candy?
What? You're a dentist. You shouldn't be giving people candy.
Why not?
This dude is hilarious. He finally makes his proposition, asking for help making a key, and seeking payment for services. He asks what's it worth to him, and a hilarious scene unfolds.
It's a hand-worn clock. And the little hands go around, and it tells the time.
We call them watches.
Meanwhile, at a meeting with all the leaders of the kingdoms, they discuss why Wendell was seen speeding through the towns without stopping as he was scheduled to. Virginia finally comes to, with the trolls obsessing over her feet. Fetish much? They attempt to extract information from her, but Ed arrives in the middle, chewing them out for failing at retrieving Wendell. They explain to their angry father that they were victim to her spells, and show him the boombox as proof of the new kingdom they discovered when he expresses disbelief in their story.
Look at this.
They are called the Brothers Gibb.
And the song, it concerns a deadly fever that only strikes on Saturdays.
Back in prison, Wendell and Tony are using the forged key in an attempt to break into the governor's office, but are caught by Shawshank, I'm gonna call him, and he gets a pretty heavy punishment as a result. Now, throwing some iron shoes on the coals, Ed has a pretty big surprise in store for Virginia.
Wake me when they turn red!
Ugh. We also find the Queen has arrived home. We get some more interesting backstory here about the original stepmother who poisoned Snow White.
She was once the most powerful woman in all the 9 kingdoms. And this was but one of her 5 castles.
Now, she suffered the same punishment that Virginia is in store for.
Dragging her raw, blistered, useless feet.
And we learn here that this queen is her successor and just what she has in store for the kingdom. Well, that got dramatic rather fast. We next find her performing a ritual of some kind before her minions begin to dig the earth up and locate the long-lost magic mirrors of the ancient stepmother. I don't know, I find this kind of cool, honestly. This is fantasy done right to me for some reason, even in its slightly watered-down TV format. Maybe it was the age at which I saw it. I was like 16 or 17, and I loved it then, but I still love it now. The slippers are now ready and hissing with heat, but before they put them on Virginia, a gift comes flying through the window with a message on it that only trolls could argue over.
A present for the strongest, bravest troll.
Now, this creates a diversion and allows Wolf a chance to swing in for the rescue. Still terrified of him, and rightfully so, she endures more of his shenanigans. I always kind of hated the delivery of this one line.
I don't trust you at all! You tried to eat my grandmother!
It reads like she's more in disbelief at what happened than terrified, which I feel like would have been a more appropriate emotion, but maybe I'm just overanalyzing this.
You tried to eat my grandmother!
Wolf gains enough of her trust that when he releases her, she doesn't run away, but that may be because of her unhealthy fixation on the magic shoes which draw her close. Wolf tries to warn her against the temptation, and with footsteps approaching, the two escape out the window. You know she stole them damn shoes. Even if you've never seen this, you know she stole them damn shoes. Outside, Wolf asks her to trust him on which direction to go, and I mean, what choice does she have? He doesn't seem like a threat at this point, and he knows where they are at least, and what routes are safe, so...
Go this way.
Oh, the big fish route, eh? Oh, Jim Henson's Jack and the Beanstalk, the real story route. I'm gonna have to review that too one day. Just you wait. There's gonna be a card up here eventually for that. Heading through the thick of the trees and stalks, I gotta say here, the graphics of this guy are quite bad. They look like something out of the second Mortal Kombat movie. I know this movie's better than this, especially when it cuts back to the realistic tree floor view and the colors change, the brightness and contrast, everything just looks different. It looks like a really bad Stephen King made-for-TV movie. No, damn it, I like that one, the movie and the story.
Golden years.
Okay, yeah, maybe that one.
This used to be a very prosperous area before all the beanstalks sprouted everywhere and polluted the land.
I want to mock the cheesiness here in using such a cliched fairy tale such as Jack and the Beanstalk, but what they actually do with the idea, however small, is pretty cool.
The trolls were given it as their kingdom. That's why they hate Prince Wendell so much, because he has a juicy, fertile kingdom, and they have a polluted, disgusting kingdom.
I never heard that before.
Virginia! Virginia!
Suddenly Virginia is gone.
Virginia, please tell me you didn't take the Troll King's magic shoes!
Of course she did. And back at the troll's lair, Ed is absolutely pissed that she escaped with his shoes. Wolf continues searching for her, worried for her safety and mental state with the power the shoes contain. Eventually they lose their charge and her location is revealed. She goes a little mental over the shoes.
Are you mental?
And Wolf, and they continue their escape as he explains more about the world around them. Now the shoes continue their magic, and Virginia starts to flirt with him. Now I know here you're expecting me to start complaining about the direction this is going with a love story and all that, like I do in most movies, but it's actually tactfully done here. Soon Ed and the trolls have a bunch of men and dogs on their scent.
Blackboard, you got any magic mushrooms?
Last time I took it, I saw fairies for 3 days.
Oh my god, they really are talking about getting high. It's rolling a fatty! Virginia and Wolf witness all of this from above, where they are hiding in the leaves of an enormous stalk. I don't know how neither of them died laughing about that. Here, Virginia gets to know Wolf a little better since they're stuck up there for a while anyway and have nothing to do but talk, and she finally finds out he's a wolf.
What is that?
It's just my tail.
You've got a tail?
Yeah, so? You have succulent breasts. I don't go on about them all the time, do I?
He's got a point.
Why did you touch it?
Oh lord, this is getting into territory I did not know existed at the time. Were furries even a thing then?
It's perfectly normal. Come on, give it a stroke.
Oh, let's not. Okay, I was trying to make it funny, but it's just getting weird now. Back in prison, the governor is pissed at his minions, and I'm stunned that apparently no one ever checks out the basement here.
It is possible she escaped that way.
What's down there?
It's just some old junk, sir. It's been there for hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years? No one's ever went down there, really? Wendell somehow manages to write legibly enough to add Tony's name to the work detail list. Really? Thank God he had a short name. I'm scrolling down the marker. Good enough, goddammit. A human chain is formed with the prisoners, Tony included, and they begin cleaning out the junk through a fireman's brigade and throwing it onto a boat. Virginia and Wolf locate the prison, and we see Tony, mirror in hand, attempting to activate it and refusing to throw it onto the boat. Under severe threats, he carefully chucks it onto the boat eventually, where it miraculously survives. Our odd couple find themselves fighting over the slippers before Virginia dons them and they head inside. Now back in his cell, Tony discovers P-Face and Acorn have a tunnel ready to escape, and he pleads to go with them.
I trust him.
Listen, that must be him. That's Prince.
Oh, come on. They're talking that loud right behind the guards, like a foot away, and they don't hear them. The slippers don't make your voice inaudible too, damn it. They rescue Wendell while Tony, Acorn, and P-Face are escaping through the tunnel. Leading them to her father's cell, the shoes wear out of power at this moment. How lucky. And they discover the tunnel and make their way through it as well. Now Acorn and P-Face pop out first and split up, and Acorn steals the boat that all the junk from earlier was tossed onto. Pretty good plot device, honestly. I wonder what that's gonna lead to. I mean, I already know, but still. Coming to the end of the tunnel, Wolf is stopped by Tony's big fat ass. I love how he introduces himself here.
It's me, Wolf! I gave you the magic dragon dumping, remember me?
Giving him a push, the four of them escape, but Acorn is already gone with the boat, but still within sight, so they at least know which direction he's headed. Back at the Queen's castle, she begins to use the mirror to attempt communication to Ed, the Troll King, who along with his bumbling kids are bursting out of the prison's front door. They see the group trying to escape by another boat, and they hop into the water in an attempt to capture them. They fail miserably, and as the gang escapes on the boat following Acorn, the Queen succeeds in her attempt to communicate with Ed. Here the two begin to argue over his continued failure and delay at accomplishing the task of bringing Wendell in, as Acorn floats on down the river with the magic mirror, which he just thinks is a regular old crap mirror. Here Wolf makes an impulse decision on their boat in Virginia's best interests. I'd be upset too.
How come you were able to resist the shoes and I wasn't?
Because you have such a strong desire to be invisible.
I am 14 and this is deep.
Destiny has brought us together, that much is clear.
Wendell delivers a few meaningful lines to Tony, who is eyeing the carved statue that P-Face gave him, and just as you think a dramatic moment is on the edge, maybe Tony's coming around, he's going to be a slightly better person.
Every whim, whilst I'm trapped in the body of a dog.
The trolls arrive in place of Wendell to the small town, and they quickly take over. The next morning, the gang are still on the boat traveling downriver when Tony ends up discovering a hidden compartment. Inside is a fish that claims to give one the power of Midas and the Golden Touch if you but place your finger inside of his mouth. Man, I need one of those.
Warning.
You know at some point or another Tony's gonna be the one to stick his finger in there. The trolls are still kicking everyone in the kingdom's ass while the Queen is yelling at Ed for his disobedience. Using another mirror, we get some interesting information on the events.
Who? 3 travel with Wendell. One who can talk with him, and one who can hurt you.
It's interesting here because if you're not in on it, you just sit here wondering, one who can hurt her. Pretty hilarious scene comes up here that I know I'm going to have to unfairly chop. The battery begins to die in their boombox and it starts, They toss it into the water and continue rowing. Down below, Wolf is attempting to shave when the Queen appears to him in the mirror, reminding him of her ownership of his will. Finding himself alone again with the fish, you know what's coming. Ooh, tempting. Virginia discovers what he's done.
Did you put your finger on that fish?
That is an odd sentence. And we cut to Wendell, the human, blithering around the palace like a moron. The Queen attempts to instill some dignity into him in an effort to get him ready to pretend to be the real prince and eventually the real king whom she can bend to her will behind the scenes. Nearing land, the group spots Acorn's boat ashore at a small town which happens to reside near the castle. Wendell hops off swimming towards the castle, sensing his physical body inside, and the rest continue towards the dock with the trolls still on their tail. Now once on land, the group are upset to find Acorn has traded the boat for a horse and cart and has departed with the goods. Tony runs off attempting to locate Wendell as the other two protest and are wanting to leave immediately in hopes of finding Acorn in the mirror sooner. Now Wendell receives more training in civility and manners as other Wendell finally gets close enough to almost make contact with him.
You! It's me! I'm you! Oh, it's me.
But he just can't quite reach. So the Queen is now grilling the trolls over their failure and off they go to try yet again to bring Wendell in. Now in a matter of seconds they actually find him and they're about to capture him when of all people, Tony steps in to save the day.
I think he'll come apart from the others pretty easily.
Next we are introduced to our first new character of the series called the Huntsman, whom the Queen has summoned in the face of the others' failures, who heads off for the capture of Virginia, Wolf, and Wendell, who are getting ready to depart the camp in the woods. Before leaving, Wolf uses his extraordinary senses to paint Virginia a beautiful picture of all the things she can't see that happened in this one place just in the last night alone. How romantic. It's a nice little scene that enhances the budding relationship of the two in a satisfying character building kind of way, as we're witness to the development of Wolf's character over time from presumed criminal and wild animal to a more cultured human being. Acorn is still traveling down the road on his newly acquired cart, mirror in back, and the gang, while following, stumble across a beggar of which they all deny her an offering, except for Virginia. In thanks at the generosity shown to her, she gives them a lesson.
Take this stick, break it, and this one, put these three together, try and break them.
I can't.
That is the lesson.
Oh, wow.
And also information on Acorn, whom she spotted earlier. She also delivers them a warning about traveling in the open.
Someone is following you. They intend to kill you.
This huntsman must be a big deal. Wolf pretty much explains that he is, and takes control of the group's direction, heeding the old woman's words, and the huntsman arrives hot on their trail soon after. We get a first-hand experience of his skill. Now back in Big Fish territory.
Pipes, what is this place?
Maybe class of 1984 territory? The three stumble through a nasty little camp and continue walking until dark while they find a gang of gypsies who quickly find them and invite them to their party. Joining in on the festivities around the fire, Tony is asked to share a song which gives the movie a moment to poke fun at itself and not take things too seriously. I mean, we get to see Larroquette act silly for a minute, there's nothing to hate about that.
Gypsies, tramps, and thieves, but every night the men would come around and lay their money down.
A bit later, Virginia wanders over to some nearby cages where the gypsies have captured some magic birds, and one of them begs her to release them.
I have 6 little babies waiting to be fed. They are starving to death without me.
Oh no!
Please set us free.
Suddenly, Mama Gypsy pops out of her trailer with some tarot cards and starts giving Tony his reading, which is nothing but comic relief. It's when Virginia comes up for her reading that things get serious.
You're full of anger.
She reads her like a book, divulging information to her that she knows but doesn't want to accept, and even things that she doesn't know at all.
You have a great destiny which stretches way back in time.
Now Wolf hops in for some more foolishness, but he doesn't get the results he was looking for either, as things turn pretty dark in no time at all.
You are a wolf.
So was your grandson.
Pretty tense, clever, and emotional. Very well written scene, honestly. The gypsies give them shelter for the night, and Virginia wakes to the birds, still begging for their freedom. Wolf is doling out some teenage werewolf advice to the young one that he has recognized also as a wolf, and she lies back down attempting to get some sleep. Now in the morning, Wolf and Tony wake Virginia and the trio escape with Wendell, but not before Virginia frees the magic birds. Oh, thank God. She's caught in the act and a chase ensues through the woods. The gypsies are closing in quick and the group now separated, and suddenly... Oh, okay, good. Escaping for the time being, the gang question why the gypsies gave up so quickly, and back at camp we find Mama casting a spell of some kind.
Make it grow till she grows weak.
She totally goes Stephen King, or Richard Bachman, whatever, thinner on her ass.
Make her moan and scream and cry. Make her wish that she would die.
Now the huntsman sends a message to the group.
All poachers will be killed by order of the huntsman.
2 messages. 3 messages. 4 messages. With deadly accuracy, I might add. Oh my god, that ghillie suit is so fucking weak. It has like 3 leaves glued on it. They couldn't have glued a few more on there, really? Tony is the first to recognize that something strange is going on with Virginia's hair. I mean, it could be worse. You can't die of long hair, at least, as far as I know. Later that night, caught in a downpour, her hair has really started to grow as Wolf is now carrying it behind her, and all of these things are causing fights to erupt amongst the group. Finding an old cottage, they bust the door down and head inside for shelter. It turns out to be the original long-lost home of the 7 dwarves.
See, this is a great piece of our history.
Again, all these little small ideas are what I loved about this movie. The way they attempted to bring in all these facets of fairy tales and stuff, that they did so in a rather intelligent way. It never felt sloppy, and it never felt like they just added this shit in there just because. It felt purposeful. They get a fire going, and Wolf gives more exposition on the history of the kingdoms. Eventually, the rain stops, night settles in, and with Tony asleep, Virginia and Wolf continue to learn more about one another. Virginia begins to let us in a little bit more about what she remembers about her mother, and her hurt really starts to shine through around here.
She doesn't want me. I'm not going to waste my energy thinking about her.
Oh.
Oh, what?
Wolf's encouragement keeps her afloat even when her defenses seem infinitely high. Now, Wolf doles out some more quips that are kinda cliche, but kinda true as well, and it's nice to see the movie trying to bring some positivity into things.
You may not get hurt. You won't get loved either.
After falling asleep for the night, we awake in the morning to find Virginia's hair has grown to unimaginable lengths, and the group is failing at cutting it even with the sharpest tools they have. Now, just when all hope seems lost, one of those magic birds that she rescued from earlier flies in with some helpful advice.
Deep in the forest, there is a woodsman with a magic axe that, when swung, never fails to cut whatever it hits.
God, how is this so charmingly cool and filled with such fantastic little storybook cliches and ideas that I just love? I don't know. Tony damn near kills himself out of sheer stupidity.
Think about where you are! Snow White's cottage!
And we see the huntsman is approaching fast. Wolf formulates a plan to lead the huntsman in a circle since he relies on tracks and can't smell as good as he can, and he buries the two in a hole before running off to prepare. Some time passes and the huntsman has tracked them all the way to the very spot they're hiding in. How does he not walk over that, honestly? He got too close for believability for me. Come on, a sneeze, really? That is so lame and typical of a plot device to use. You're better than this, 10th Kingdom. Either way, Tony and Virginia pop out of their hiding place, and while Tony makes an easy escape, Virginia isn't so lucky. She's dragged away caveman style. God, do you know how much shampoo it's going to take to get all that out? As Wolf and Tony are left alone in the woods, terrified and unsure of what to do as the huntsman opens his magic tree. It's not lame, but it's not really cool, and he drags her inside. So what happens to Virginia? Does her hair ever stop growing? Will Wendell and the trolls ever be turned from gold back into their real selves? Where's the magic mirror, and Acorn for that matter? Join me again soon when we continue our second part of this 3-part review of the 10th Kingdom, and as always, if you enjoy this kind of content, hit the thumbs up button, leave your comments down below, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know exactly when I'm uploading content.